Hi, I'm Asif Farouk and this is Finextra at Cybos. We're joined here today by Paul van Pul, Chairman of the SEPA Migration Action Roundtable. Thank you for joining us. So my first question is that the SMART document provides guidance on charging principles. Can you tell us a little bit about what these principles look like?
Well, first of all, SMART is a group within the EBA which enables the banks to have, as much as possible, a smooth migration to SEPA. What we want to do is increase STP percentages of the messaging between the banks and also to have timely execution of these transactions on behalf of our clients. The R document is referring, the R stands for rejects, refunds, reversals, in the whole area of SDD. Well, we know that especially the migration to SDD is lagging behind. A lot of communities face at this point in time a lot of backlogs in their back offices because of, say now, cross-border practices, because banks perceive it now as being over the border within the SEPA area. They were used to do that on a local level. Now it's going to be cross-border. And well, as the SEPA regulation already says, you are entitled, or you're allowed to charge for these R-transactions on a cost base. And now you see that some local communities already started doing it, but the other side of on the border doesn't have any clue what is the background. So what we did is give guidance. What are these R-transactions about? How can you prevent them? We also described in the document which situations, who is in the chain, whom to charge, and last but not least, be very transparent about the charging. If you're going to do it, what will be the basis?
Do you expect that the SMART recommendations will be widely accepted across banks in Europe? And are there more in the pipeline?
Well, until now we already have, say, up to 20 banks that endorsed our document. They approved it, they see the value of it. With a good geographical coverage in the SEPA area, I must admit, from north to south, from west to east. And as a matter of fact, not only this subject, but other subjects were raised at the EBA Association as well by banks who are member of EBA, by associate members. So we see that knocking on our door takes place quite frequently now, and that means that because we are banks and having the knowledge, the experience, the practices in house, we are able to contribute to defining these best practices, and therefore we see that banks are enthusiastic about the initiative, and I heard so as well after our panel session we had this week, that a lot of parties are, very positive taking this initiative up.
So is there any concern that the work of the SMART may contradict the initiatives of other SEPA-related activities, such as the European Payments Council?
Well, to the contrary, I would say. We are doing this complementary to EPC or other bodies. As a matter of fact, the EPC provided rule books and implementation guidelines over the past years. These were the basis for each of the banks, but also the corporates in the SEPA area to use to prepare themselves for SEPA. We used these documents as a basis, and we did only an add-on, and the add-on is especially about the best practices from a day-to-day point of view. So complementary. And I would say if there are items which are raised to us and we have to admit they are not belonging on our plate because it's an EPC thing, we channel it to EPC. And actually same goes for initiatives by CSMs. For instance, EBA Step 2 is preparing itself now for a proper operational readiness for the SEPA migration. We see that as an initiative based on their CSM platform, their technicalities, their operational things. We are not touching upon that. We see that once more as a complementary thing, and I think we are good in sync with each other.
And do you see any parallels to other large, complex industry projects that you've undertaken in the past?
As a matter of fact, yes. It reminds me in the 90s when we introduced the euro. That was the Heathrow Group. And the Heathrow Group was actually doing the same thing as we do now in Smart. Define the best practices, get agreement between the banks how to use them in order to have, again, a smooth migration, but in that time to Euro. And we have the parallel now to SEPA, a rather big and complex arena, so very much comparable. And I would say we had very good experiences. The results of the Heathrow Group were quite substantial, and then I would kindly invite a lot of banks saying, well, be smart, join us, and this is what we did so far.